Hey everybody, it's Dina from the Rhode Island Wave again, and I am here today with Rachel Ann, and Rachel Ann is the founder of the Menopause Education Center. Rachel, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So Rachel, tell me a little bit about yourself. You are far, far away. Where are you?
I am currently in Maui. I'm usually based in the San Francisco area, but Maui called me over to do some healing, and we're doing some events here and looking for some retreat centers to be able to host some amazing menopause retreats and midlife sanctuary type of events for women. And I just haven't been able to leave.
I
Maui
don't,
and
I don't
menopause
blame
go
you.
very well together. Maui and menopause go very well together.
Is that the prescription? One of
I
them?
believe so. We're working on that.
Oh yeah, there you go. Now, tell me, so menopause in women have been around for a really long time. So why are we in 2025 just getting around to talking about what menopause?
Oh, girl, I ask myself that question all the time. So I am 53 years young, and I started the company when I was in my mid 40s, when I was around 45. So we've been around for 7 years. Before it was cool, before celebrities were talking about it, I got into this because of my own journey. All of a sudden, things were changing, and I thought I was crazy. And no one was talking about it. My mother, my friends, not even my own doctor, and she was a woman. So I started going online and Googling and researching, and all of that did was freak me out. Everything was so old and it made me feel like my life was over in my 40s. And so the more that I learned when I started to go fight for myself with my doctor and ask for my hormones to be tested and ask for my mental health and all of these things, I was met with such resistance that it was shocking. And then the more that I did research of what's really happening to women, the statistics were terrifying. Highest divorce rate during a woman's menopause years, women leaving their careers right when they get to the top of the C suite, marriages falling apart. And then the scariest statistic is the highest suicide rate among women coming into their menopause years because hormonal depression is often misdiagnosed because women don't know enough to ask. So doctors throw them on antidepressants that don't work because they are not fixing the hormone imbalance. So then women are like, I must be very broken, time to take my life. So as I was going through my own journey, the more that I learned about what's happening to women in all of their lives, I was like, why are there no resources? Why is no one talking about this? Why are there no hip courses that are written for today's modern woman? Because we are not the same women that our mothers were in their 50s. 50 really is the new 30. And so I set out and decided that I was going to change the narrative, that I was going to fight for women, that I was going to teach women how to fight for themselves, how to deal with their doctor, how to deal with their employees. I was going to save marriages and teach women how to be able to talk to their husbands. And more importantly, we have a whole course for men. So we worked with a bunch of male therapists to be able to write something for husbands so husbands could understand and partners and allies. So for me, this was started as a passion project because I was like, my own experience was terrifying. And I'm like, if I can save one woman from going through what I went through and wasting time and not being able to be proactive about my health instead of having to be reactive about my health. That's how we were born. But why are we just talking about this when women have been on the planet for as long as there's been people on the planet? I have no idea. This should have been talked about 50 years ago, 100 years ago, but women's health is always, for some reason, on the back burner. And I don't think it's systemic purposely. I just think, you know, I don't know. I almost think it's a compliment. I look at it sometimes because we are strong. We make
Mhm.
lives. We make babies, like, so I think oftentimes women are seen as much stronger. And maybe, it's more that they don't need our help because they're badasses, so to speak. So I think some of it comes from that. And also, women, we don't want to ask for help because sometimes we do not want to feel marginalized and we don't want it to be a woman's issue or we need concessions because we have a uterus and a vagina. So I think there's been all of that, not just coming from the patriarchy, but I think women too sometimes don't want to speak up and be vulnerable and be transparent. There's been a lot of shame. And then you throw in the aging factor. And so now you've got all these shameful things. So I
Hmm.
think that's what has prevented it. But now that ship has sailed. We will no longer ever be afraid of aging, and women are speaking out and rising up. So we are finally changing the narrative around this biological certainty.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I understand you've had some forward motion in your efforts, and it has a Rhode Island connection. So you want to tell us about how somehow Rhode Island has connected and helped make some forward motion?
Yeah, so Rhode Island was the first state that actually enacted workplace protections for women experiencing menopause. So the law was introduced by your Senator Lori Urso to support women experiencing menopause underneath your Fair Employment statute. And you guys were the first state that explicitly enacted these workplace protections. And then there was a companion bill that was introduced by your House Representative Karen Alzati, and your governor, Dan McKee, signed everything into law. So removing that stigmatism and showing companies that this is important. This is not just optional for you to take care of women in your workplace. This is mandatory was huge. So we got a chance to do a Zoom event with Senator Urso and talked all about how menopause protections in the workplace are very important for women and well deserved, because menopause doesn't discriminate. It has no bias. It's going to come with you to work. It's going to come with you into your marriage. And women should be protected. They shouldn't have to lose their careers because their hormones are in flux or because they might need, to adjust some things about their workday. So when a company shows that they are supporting that, women feel protected, women feel empowered, and women don't have to give up on their jobs. And it's the right
Wonderful.
thing for companies to do. It took forever to pass Family Medical Leave Act. I mean, look at all of those types of things and being able to breastfeed in public. So women are constantly fighting um, for rights and for healthcare. And so Rhode Island really set the bar. There's now 15 other states that are considering menopause protections as part of other workplace types of protections. So it was really, really exciting to see Rhode Island and your governor step up and say this matters and it is no longer optional. Very,
Wonderful.
very exciting.
Wonderful. And then you've got 15 other states on board and you're going for the rest of them.
We're going for all of them. And it's only a matter of time before it just becomes normal as more women speak up, as more legislators speak up, as companies. I mean, there's a real effect on the bottom line when you talk about where the symptoms affect a woman at work in absenteeism, presenteeism, productivity. So these are actually measurable things that a company can assign a dollar value to. It's
Right.
unfortunate that that's how they make decisions, but it's not just a feel good product. It actually has real measurable results inside of an organization. So it's going to be super important. And eventually it's not, in 2 years, 3 years, I don't think it's going to be something that we're talking about from the perspective of workplace protections. I think it's going to just be almost federal. We might have to wait for an administration change, but I see that coming because women are not going to just sit back and be like, this is okay, because it's not okay.
Right. Right. Well, nowadays we hear companies talking sideways out of both sides of their mouth. They want loyal employees, but they don't want to do anything to keep them loyal. And they think we're all disposable. But then, they dispose of us and then they realize, oopsie, they lose all of that value, So to keep somebody on, especially a woman, if so I'm 57, I'll date me, I feel like I'm just hitting my prime.
It's true. Think about the seasoned women that you're talking about. We're not talking about entry level women. We're talking about women that have been at companies 5, 10, 15, 20 years, working their way up into the C suite, director level, executive level roles. And look at just the cost of hiring and retraining. Just hiring and retraining someone is like 3 times their annual salary. So you lose one of your seasoned female employees, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars to try to replace her. So why not just love on her? Why not just
Right?
not make it so that she doesn't have to be put in that position to be like, oh, I have to choose between my career and my hormones, because she doesn't. So companies that step up, companies that see this, companies that acknowledge that this exists, thrive and get to keep their top talent.
Wonderful. So tell me, how can people get on board with you and find out more about what you're doing?
So our website is menopauseclasses.com, and it's set up really easy to navigate. So there's a whole section for women where that's more of our consumer products. So we have incredible products for women, training materials, courses, scripts to talk to your doctor, your husband, your children, all sorts of resources so you can approach this time in your life fully empowered instead of fearful like I was, and really thrive and really be proactive about your health. So that's under the for women on the navigation. We also have some free courses so you can go online and see our vibe and see how it feels. You're not going to leave our courses being like, oh my God, my life is over at 48. Because that's how it felt for me. Like I was watching a driver's ed video for 1950. And I was like, okay, there has got to be a better way to approach this information that feels sexier. So our menopause courses are really sexy. And then we have a whole section that's for husband and partners, whether that is a male ally who's your husband or whether you're in a same-sex marriage. If it's for people that don't have a uterus or allies that are watching someone suffer. So there's a whole section for men and for husbands and partners, an entire partner playbook of how to navigate your marriage, how to navigate rage, how to navigate intimacy, and how to really make sure that your marriage doesn't have to fall apart. Because women have a hard enough time talking about it with other women. Could you imagine having the conversation with your husband? Women are already shameful around aging and all these other things. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into there. And then we have a whole section for companies about why this matters, how menopause protections help, how our compliance suite can now make you compliant with the laws in your state or the eventual laws in your state. And then we have a menopause pledge. So you can take a menopause friendly workplace pledge and really all sorts of tools and things on our website. We're also hosting the first ever menopause marathon. We're doing a 3-city marathon in 2026. We're very excited about celebrating health and vitality of women at all ages. Because, like I said, 50 is the new 30. So if you visit menopauseclasses.com, whether you're a woman, whether you're a husband who's wondering what's happening to your wife, if you're a company that wants to make sure you're fully compliant with the new laws in Rhode Island, we'd love to talk to you, show you some case studies and why this really matters and how effective our programs are. And it's just a really exciting time to be a women's health advocate.
Wonderful. What else should we know? Anything?
Yeah, you're not alone. Don't be afraid to advocate for yourself. I know that we're taught not to question our doctors. Throw that advice out the window. Question your doctors. Do your research. Speak up for yourself. Do not allow someone to make you feel like you're crazy. Do not allow your doctor to dismiss you and say, oh, you're just getting older. Deal with it. That is not true. Don't get pushed around at work. Advocate for yourself. Learn the things you need to learn. And if you're afraid of HRT, do your research. Talk to your doctor. If you don't like your doctor, get a new doctor. There's so many telehealth companies out there now that are doing nothing but helping women with menopause. Investigate Mini, investigate MyAlloy, look into Winona. So you don't have to suffer in silence. You're not alone. And remember that aging is a gift because the alternative to aging does not sound like that much fun to me.
Thank you so much.
I'm so proud of Rhode Island and the work that you're
Yeah.
doing. And I think it's so important. And I hope all the companies, if you're in a leadership role at your company, please go ahead and reach out to me. My email address is rachelann@menopauseclasses.com. We do a free introductory session. So bring your leaders. If you're CEO in Rhode Island, call me. You need to. Now, for example, it's no longer optional. You actually need to be compliant. And we have all sorts of legal resources for your legal team to help do risk mitigation. So all I can say is if you run a business in Rhode Island and you have 50 or more employees, please give us a call. Let us show you how easy this can be to work together. If you're a woman going through symptoms, go to our website and take our courses. It will change your life. And if you're a husband or a partner, advocate for your wife. Be there for her, really step up because this will pass. It is not a death sentence because their hormones are changing.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.